For months, I lived beside my wife like a ghost she couldn't see. We shared a bed, but not a heartbeat. Her laughter had disappeared somewhere between work meetings and endless scrolling on her phone. Each night I'd cook, try to talk, ask about her day. Each night she'd nod, say, fine, and slip into silence. It wasn't always like that. Claire used to light up at the smallest things, a late-night drive, a cup of coffee on the porch, my bad jokes. But somewhere after our 7th anniversary, something inside her switched off. No fights, no accusations, just a quiet withdrawal as if she'd unplugged herself from us. At first, I blamed stress. Then I blamed myself. Maybe I'd gotten boring, predictable. Maybe familiarity dulled whatever spark we had. I started taking longer shifts at work just to avoid the emptiness waiting at home. One Thursday evening, after another dinner where conversation died halfway through, I stopped by a cafe near the office. The place was quiet, mostly regulars. I sat alone, scrolling through old photos of Claire and me on my phone, wondering how two people could drift so far without anyone noticing. Then a voice broke my thoughts. Mind if I sit here? The other tables are full. She was maybe in her early 30s, friendly eyes, confidence in her posture. Her name was Lena. We started talking casually at first about the music playing, the weather, the terrible traffic outside. There was no flirting, just two strangers sharing small talk that somehow felt more alive than the conversations I'd had at home in months. When I stood to leave, Lena smiled. You know, you're kind of hot when you talk about your work. I laughed, thinking she was joking, but there was something sincere in her tone, a simple human warmth I hadn't felt in a long time. I said goodnight and left, carrying that sentence like an ember in my pocket. At home, Claire was watching a show on her tablet. I told her someone at the cafe had recognized the brand I worked for and called me hot. I expected her usual shrug. Instead, she froze. She called you what? Her voice cracked slightly, a flash of something I hadn't seen in ages. Emotion. She said I was hot. It was just a funny moment, I replied. Claire's eyes narrowed. And you enjoyed that, didn't you? I blinked, unsure what to say. For months, she'd treated me like furniture, and now suddenly she cared. It's not like that, I said quietly. It just caught me off guard. She slammed the tablet shut. You think I'm stupid? You think you can flirt around and then come home to me like nothing happened? Her words hit harder than expected. Not because they were cruel, but because beneath the anger, I heard fear, jealousy, the same emotion she used to show when we first dated, back when losing me meant something. I wasn't flirting, I told her, keeping my voice calm. You haven't looked at me in months, Claire. Someone finally did, and I didn't even know how to respond. That silence after felt heavier than any fight we'd ever had. She stared at me, eyes glossy, jaw trembling. For the first time in a long while, we weren't strangers. But then she turned away. You're making excuses. Maybe I was right not to feel anything anymore. I wanted to yell, to shake her, to make her remember what we'd been, but I just stood there realizing something had cracked, not just in her but in me too. That night I lay awake beside her, staring at the ceiling, the words echoing in my head. You're hot. One woman had said it casually, yet it had stirred emotions my wife claimed no longer existed. I didn't know if that was tragic or ironic, but I knew something inside our marriage had just shifted. The next morning, the air in the house felt thick. Claire moved quietly, avoiding my eyes as she poured coffee. The silence wasn't peaceful, it was loaded. I wanted to say something, anything to break it, but every word felt like it might explode. As she slipped on her coat for work, she said almost under her breath, "If that woman calls you again, tell her you're married." I frowned. "She doesn't even have my number, Claire." She didn't reply, just grabbed her keys and left. The door clicked shut, leaving behind a faint echo that sounded a lot like resentment. For the next few days, she acted strangely, checking my phone when she thought I wasn't looking, asking where I was going, what time I'd be home. It was ironic, months of emotional distance, and now she couldn't stand the idea of me being noticed by someone else. Part of me wanted to confront her, to ask why jealousy was the only emotion she could still feel for me, but another part enjoyed the strange attention. It felt like proof that somewhere under all her apathy, a flicker of care still existed. One evening I came home late after a project meeting. Claire was in the kitchen cooking, a rare sight lately. The smell of garlic and rosemary filled the room. I made dinner. she said softly. I hesitated, unsure if this was peace or a setup. We sat down, ate mostly in silence until she finally looked up. Do you think I'm a bad wife? The question caught me completely off guard. No, I said slowly. I think we've both just forgotten how to love each other. She nodded, eyes glistening. When you told me that woman called you hot, something inside me snapped. I felt angry, then ashamed for feeling angry. Because it hit me. I don't touch you, I don't talk to you, and yet I still think you belong only to me. Her honesty disarmed me. It was the first real confession she'd made in months. I never wanted anyone else, I said quietly. I just wanted you to see me again. Claire looked down, tracing the rim of her glass. I stopped trying because I thought you'd already given up. Every time I looked at you, you seemed far away, like you were waiting for me to be someone I wasn't anymore. Her words stung, but they were true. We'd both been ghosts in our own home, haunting memories of what we used to be. That night after dinner, she sat beside me on the couch. No words, no apologies, just silence that for once didn't feel hostile. Her head rested lightly on my shoulder. It was small, but it felt monumental. Days passed and the tension began to fade. We started having small conversations again about movies, about work, about nothing. It wasn't love, not yet. But it was contact. One afternoon, while cleaning the study, I found an old photo album. Our wedding, our first apartment. The vacation where she'd fallen asleep on my chest under the stars. I left it open on the table where she'd see it. That evening, she picked it up and smiled faintly. We were good once, weren't we? We still can be, I said. She exhaled slowly. I don't know if I can get those feelings back, but I want to try. It wasn't a declaration of love, but it was something better. A choice. Weeks later, we went back to that same cafe. I didn't expect Lena to be there, but she was, sitting by the window sipping coffee. When she noticed me, she waved politely. I waved back. Claire saw, followed my gaze, and just smiled. A small, confident smile that said, I'm not afraid anymore. That night, as we walked home, she reached for my hand. I don't like her calling you hot, she admitted. But maybe I needed someone else to see what I'd forgotten to appreciate. I squeezed her hand gently. I didn't need her to see me, Claire. I just needed you to. She looked at me for a long time, then nodded. You have me now. And for the first time in almost a year, I believed her. The walls we'd built between us hadn't vanished overnight, but they were finally cracking, one honest moment at a time. Sometimes, it takes another person's glance to remind the one you love that you were worth looking at all along.